Hi, my name is Victoria Leach, and I did my project on recruiting and selecting staff. To start, it's very important to select staff who will positively affect and contribute to the organization. The goal is to match people to the right jobs where they can best perform. This is really crucial in healthcare because healthcare is so fast-paced and there's already such a nursing shortage. It also can end up being very expensive and unnecessary if the performance ends up being unsatisfactory. Bad performance often leads to poor quality of work, disruption of morale, patient dissatisfaction, and later can lead to liability. Recruitment and selection process. The purpose is to match people to the correct jobs. You want to do this in the beginning so that you don't have to go through having an unsatisfactory member, having to fire them, and whatnot. So the selection is always done by the Human Resource Department, which includes the nurse recruiter, and the nurse manager is usually involved as well. It's important to review the position description by describing the skills, abilities, and knowledge requirements of the job. And this involves the duties and responsibilities, tasks, personal qualifications, and competency-based behaviors. Recruiting your applicants. So the purpose of this is to find enough qualified individuals to form a pool so the required number can be selected. It's important to have a variety and a lot of applicants so that you can compare them and find the ones that would fit the job description the best. Recruiting is also easier and less expensive when current employees spread the message. It's important to have satisfied nurses who can speak highly of their organization, along with a really great nurse manager to create a positive work environment with leadership style and clinical expertise. So, some may ask where, how, and when. Well, recruiting can happen on social media, along with collaborating with local schools, offering externships, preceptors and mentors during clinical rotations, employing students as aides, and helping to learn the organization. This really helps because then they can get a better understanding about everything going on. It's also really important to discuss the reputation, benefits, promotional opportunities, specialty areas, and the nurse-to-patient ratios. Those are a lot of questions that will come up, so if they're already offered when the organization is being promoted, that helps a lot as well. How? Posting online on several different job sites, having employee referrals, advertising in professional journals, attending job fairs or convention, career days, things like that. You also want to begin this process well in advance to avoid increasing the nurse shortage because then that makes it more stressful. You're more on a time schedule and the process may not go as smoothly. So it's important to also promote your organization. You want to have an effective, honest, personal contract marketing message. You also do not want to oversell and set unrealistic expectations, because this can then result in the new employee not accepting the job, being angry with you, etc. It's also important to include the 4 P's of marketing. The first one is product. You want to discuss the available positions while considering professionalism, standards of care, quality service, respect, reputation, and organizational culture. Next is place. Physical quality and location. Consider the accessibility, scheduling, parking. Also price. Their pay, differentials, benefits, sign-on bonuses, insurance, retirement plans. And lastly, promotional. This is advertising, public relations, direct word of mouth, personal selling. Selecting candidates can also be very important when the nurse manager and the HR worker, this starts when they start to review the applications. If you do not meet the requirements, the applicant should be informed. They should see if there's a better position that would fit them And you also want to be very courteous. You never want to be rude to these people, because word of mouth, things spread. They wouldn't want to apply ever again, telling their friends. It can just hurt the organization overall. If they do meet the requirements, you want to conduct the screening interview, contact their references, conduct a second interview, compare the applicants, make a hiring decision, perform the background check, make a phone offer, the drug test, and offer the job officially. Interviewing candidates. An interview is completed after the application process has been reviewed in order to gather more information. You want to evaluate their responses to questions and determine the fit of the applicant for the position that they have applied for. The interview usually is about 60 to 90 minutes long. You always start with the opening, then have an informative gathering and information giving phase, and then there's always the closing. Gathering the information and giving information is the core to the interview. You really want to sell the organization while keeping it professional and not overshooting anything, along with learning about themselves, experience they have. Effective interviewing starts with gathering relevant data, solicit information efficiently, and the same question should be asked to all interviewers because it's then easier to compare. Being prepared, you want to have all materials already reviewed, their resumes, transcripts. You want to be in a quiet and pleasant environment and try not to have any interruptions. You want to start the interview on time, have a friendly greeting, and be comfortable. Tell them to relax, sit back, have comfortable chairs. Giving information about the facility is also important, but it's good to know what to discuss and what others have already discussed. HR usually takes care of discussing things more in depth with the applicant. You want to summarize the applicant's strengths at the end of the interview and also ask if they have anything else they'd like to add. You want to thank them for coming as well before they leave. Involving staff is also a good idea because this helps to strengthen the teamwork, improves work group effectiveness, increases staff involvement in other unit activities, and you're more likely to select the best candidate. But before doing this, it's important to train your staff regarding the interviews about certain laws and regulations, what to do in awkward situations, and there should be times for rehearsing interviewing skills with the nurse manager before you do this with an applicant. Interview reliability and vitality. Studies have found that interviewing with the same person multiple times has better reliability rates than if you're interviewing with several different people. So it's a good idea to keep the interviews with the same nurse manager each time. Also, it's more reliable if you have structured interviews or interviewers with detailed information. Less accurate when the interviewer is under pressure to hire in a short amount of time, when their interviewer also allows for stereotypes, race, gender, and personality to get in the way. That should never occur. There are 3 fundamental questions also that need to occur during the interview, and those are: can the applicant perform the job? Will the applicant perform the job to the best of their ability? And do they fit into the culture of the unit and the organization? So when you decide that it's time to make a hiring decision, you want to base it off the candidate's education, experience, and make sure that they have their license. You need to make sure all education requirements are met and ensure the minimal amount of knowledge is known about the job in order to perform it to the best of their ability. Knowing the knowledge and skills level of the employer is also very important, along with any experience that they've already have. When it comes to references and recommendation letters, they're not very reliable because most people do not write unfavorable recommendation letters. You normally go to someone who you like and who's going to write you a good letter. When you want to compare your candidates, you want to weigh the qualities required for the job first and then begin looking at the other qualities along with the education, experience, and further trainings. It's also important to interview the entire pool of applicants and compare the data when making the decision. It's more reliable if you can compare to multiple applicants rather than just one. And next, when it's time to make the offer, you want to let HR know about the interview and let them know that you would like an offer to be made. They will perform a background check, a criminal record check, Make sure they have their licensure along with an employment history. When everything is cleared, the job will then be offered to the candidate, and a drug screen should be completed within 24 hours. In addition, negligent hiring is something that can occur when the employee harms the patient, visitor, or other employee, and the organization did not check the applicant's background, licensure, credentials, and references first, which is something that should never happen because all of that should be completed in the hiring process. Legality in hiring. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission prohibits discrimination in the workplace. You cannot retaliate against someone because they complained about discrimination. Also, the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act was put into place to get rid of discrimination when making a decision regarding employment, such as race, sex, color, religion, or national origin. There's also the Age Discrimination Act, Americans with Disability Act, and there's several other acts too that are involved, but these were just the main ones that I thought would fit best. So now I have a video that we're going to watch about the recruitment process.
Selecting the right person depends on following a series of distinct steps. This gives you a simple process that you can use no matter what type or level of position you want to fill. The process also ensures that your recruitment is efficient, effective, and fair. Let's look at each of these steps briefly. The first step is defining the role. You've made the decision that you need to take someone on, and that the best option is to have someone directly employed in your business. Before you rush off to find someone, think carefully about what the role is, the actual requirements of the job, and how it fits into your business and your future plans. Write a job description to help you clarify the purpose, tasks, and responsibilities of the job. Use the job description template to help guide you. And remember, this is about the job, not the person. The next step is to build a profile of the ideal person to fill this role. Again, there's a template and guidance available to help you. A person's specification will help you undertake the selection and interview process in a systematic way. The next step is attracting applicants. You need to start the search for suitable candidates. Think about where you can advertise to attract a wide range of good quality applicants. You're aiming to get the best response at the least cost. There are some suggestions given in this module. As well as where to advertise, you have to consider the advert itself. An effective job advert sells a position and the business. This is particularly important for small and new businesses because the company name may not be particularly well known. Keep the advert short and to the point, and make sure it's non-discriminatory and that you avoid gender or culturally specific language. You may consider using an application form when recruiting. This means you don't rely on each candidate responding in their own way. You can be sure the candidates provide all the information that's necessary and relevant to the job. And it also makes it easier to compare like with like and make your initial assessment. The next step in the recruiting process is selecting the right candidate. First, draw up your selection criteria. It's a good idea to create a checklist based on the essential or desirable skills and experience required. Use your checklist to assess how closely candidates match up to the job and person specification. You may want to ask your business advisor or a business colleague to assist you with the selection and interview process. This helps to make sure there's no personal bias in the process and is helpful if at least one person on the selection panel has been trained in equality and diversity issues. When you have your short list of suitable people, send them a letter inviting them to an interview. Take care with the interview process. Make sure you give every candidate the same opportunities to give the best presentation of themselves, to demonstrate their suitability and to ask questions of the interviewer. Use a consistent structure for the interview too. At the end of each interview, tell the candidate what happens next and when they can expect to hear from you. When you've made your decision, notify the successful candidate, but also remember to let the other candidates know that they were not successful. Finally, Having made your decision and selected your candidate, there are a number of things you have to consider before they become an employee. The full details are in this module. I suggest you go through them carefully. If you follow these steps whenever you're recruiting, you'll find it more straightforward, and you'll also make sure that your recruitment is efficient, effective, and fair.
All right, some more additional information. It's very difficult when recruiting nurses because of the nursing shortage and how competitive it is right now. So some things specific to recruiting nurses are introduce an employee referral program, sponsor a conference or seminar, provide a competitive salary or benefits package, offer a sign-on bonus, promote educational and career development benefits, and start a mentoring program. All of these things can be implemented, and the more that you implement, the easier the recruiting process will be. And lastly, these are the references I used. Thanks so much for watching.